Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. Thank you very much for choosing to stay with us. A little bit earlier, we had a chat to SABC reporter Yulisa and Jamala, who was setting the scene for us ahead of the special National Congress held by Cosatu in Midrand. Let's cross to her now. She's with the president of Cosatu, Dlamini. Okay, so we were going to cross to her. We'll cross to her a little bit later, but there was a couple of issues that came out of that came out of those issues a little bit later in Midrand. She is standing with the guests. Let's cross to Yulisa, who has got with her an analyst, and let's unpack the Special National Congress.
Yes, it's a good morning again, Sam. Yes, it is indeed an analyst. Dlamini, the president of Cosatu, will join us in the program later on as we prepare for that special broadcast as well for the Special National Congress. Right now, I am joined indeed by Dr. Rendani Ralinala, who's a labor and political analyst, to break these issues down a bit for us as we were chatting earlier, Doctor. You know, they are very clear, the national office bearers of Cosatu. Unity and cohesion, paramount here. But we do know that there is no unity or cohesion, whether within the structure of Cosatu, which is CEC, the Central Executive Committee, or within the affiliates for that matter. Beyond this conference, any hope for that unity and cohesion?
It is going to be very difficult, although it is quite desirable that the Federation must begin this kind of programs to try to unite the Federation. But I think the damage is quite deep because if you will remember, there has been a lot of dismissals even from the Federation itself, wherein many people, formations, other unions, individuals are quite unhappy with. And of course, there are also those unions that are still within Cosatu that are saying, the current leadership, you have served your stay, and therefore, please disappear. We want a better, new, fresh blood, because you are not taking this federation anyway, and in fact, you are part of the schism that is taking place within Cosatu. And therefore, they believe strongly that the only way in which they can rebuild Cosatu is when this current leadership is not there. And now, because of that, it is going to be very difficult, because I think it's sort of the late run for the current leadership of Cosatu to try to bring these organizations together, although it is quite desirable, but it needs a lot of work, and it's not going to be very easy because they are due for their National Congress, which is coming now in September. So it's that within 2-3 months, they will be able to run a proper formal Congress without difficulties. It's going to be very difficult indeed.
The issue of the current leadership, the national office bearers saying it is not allowed, or they will not allow for the delegates here to suggest certain aspects of the agenda to be added. In fact, the main issues being the VAVI and the NUMSA expulsion issues. Is that normal? Does that happen?
In fact, what you should really understand is that with this kind of congresses, you do find people raising motions from the floor. And it's a democratic country. I have seen the constitution of Cosatu. It subscribes to the principles of democracy. And of course, if certain delegates feel strongly that there are certain areas that they want to discuss, they must be raised. Now, immediately when the leadership that is running the special congress begins to suppress people, to say, look, you are not going to raise item 1 or 2 because this one has been sealed. That's where the chaos starts, because people become dissatisfied to say, look, you are not running this Congress fairly. You have sat in a particular corner in Braamfontein and you decided that you are only going to have these items on the agenda. So why don't you allow us as delegates with equal status as yourselves to suggest certain items that we feel are burning and they are critical to unity and cohesion for this particular federation?
The 9 unions, of course, the number has quite dwindled now, are the ones who requested, not only that, in fact, they demanded this Congress some 14 months ago, and yet it would seem like they are now on the outside. What are the chances of actual proper unity within this federation without those fractured unions?
Look, it is going to be very difficult because All I can say is that it's very critical when you run a structure like a federation to ensure that you tolerate the dissent from within, because once you throw the dissent to outside, it becomes very difficult. You lose control altogether. In as far as I'm concerned, Cosatu has actually even lost control over NUMSA, and it was mainly because they chased NUMSA out. Yes, there might have been certain resolutions that NUMSA took which Cosatu leadership was not happy with, but I still think that those differences should have been managed internally, because once it's outside you lose control and they can be as chaotic as ever, and that is why it's very important that differences must really be managed internally, and it's important for our own federations, our own unions who are leading the labor movement to understand that principle, that you cannot run a union through dismissals. It becomes very, very difficult.
Well, NUMSA is on the outside now, and Vavi for that matter, and there's talks that there might be a new federation that is formed. What do you think moving forward is the best thing? Perhaps a new federation that would look at different issues, or try to coax those other affiliates to be part of the Workers' Federation?
Look, yes, as we speak, NUMSA has been dismissed. Our NUMSA is outside. We cannot talk much about it, but there are those federations that are aligning themselves with NUMSA, and some of them are not going to be here. Some of them are going to be here, which are still aligned to NUMSA. That is really a fact. Now, the key issue is to try to mobilize these unions to be together, at least to have one united Cosatu, because otherwise the future is going to be very disastrous. If you really want one federation, because I still think that the workers' voice can really be served by one big, formidable and unified federation. But now when you have got these many schisms that are taking place over sometimes very petty issues that can be managed, I think it compromises the future of workers and their rights in this country.
One Voice for All Workers, Dr. Rendani Ralinala, Labour and political analyst, will continue these conversations as the Congress starts a little later this morning, Sam.